Hey, how are you? I am Chris Robin, aka at Detroit Beastie, here with Fantasy Six Pack to talk about the extravaganza bonanza that is Monday Night Football tonight. There are two games, a doubleheader of action. First one is at 7:30 as the Jacksonville Jaguars T-Law heads to Buffalo to take on Josh Allen and the Bills. Over under there is 45.5 points, and then maybe what is it? 45. I'm good at telling time, I guess. Wear a watch, an adult man. The next game kicks off in 45 minutes after that one at 8:15, and it's the Washington Commanders go to Cincinnati to battle Joe Burrow and the Bengals. That one is at 46.5 points over under. Before I get into all the point spreads and the final scores, I dropped a little bit of a hint in the Sunday Night Football video. I think both games are over. I had like 106, 107 total points scored between the four teams. If you do the math, you divide 106 by 4, I think you get 26.5. So I can tell time and I can do math on the fly. What a fantastic man I am, right? When we get to the games, right, before we get to the games, I should say, make sure you get the Fantasy Six Pack and everything you need for seasonal formats, dynasty formats, sports betting, and DFS is right there for you. Rankings, projections, and the rankings are really high end, as you can see in the graphic next to my head. Oh, it's this way. Sorry, it's left, right, righty, light, something like that. But the rankings are fantastic, and there's an all access premium membership, and that applies to some articles, and it definitely applies to the Discord, which is free. But if you want to get in on some of the good action, you get free parlays and free DFS lines. You're going to want the premium option. Go there, sign up, tag me, tag Joe, tag Keith, anybody you want, and we can chat. It's open and rolling 365 24/7. I'm not kidding, I promise you. All right, when we look at these games, this is going to be not the traditional single game slate video because there's two games. There's a bunch of players I want to get to, and by this point, if you're watching the video, there's only a couple hundred of you at a time, so I thank you for that. And normally I would do a separate video for each one. Each one would be 15 minutes. I'd spend all day doing editing and making graphics for both videos. So I said, you know what? I got everything in front. I'll do my notes. I got everything in front of me. I will share my notes, let the camera, kind of settle in there. I got some highlighted players. We're going to do both games in one video because I like the idea of playing the Monday main slate. You get two games, 4 teams, and there's a lot. There's main slate money available in only 2 games. It's outstanding if you ask me. If you want to play a single game slate, have at it. I don't have the single game slate prices for each player in this video, and in my notes it's for a 2-game main slate. But if I tell you Josh Allen is a fantastic play in the main slate, that means he would be a fantastic play in the single game slate. Why wouldn't they correlate here? So let's start. Jacksonville Buffalo kickoff 7:30, over under 45.5 points. I prefer to take Jacksonville plus the points, plus 5.5 points. I'll give you a final score here at the end of the video. And we look at Washington, Cincinnati, over under 46.5 points. Take the over. I like Cincinnati minus the 7.5 points. So Cincinnati to win, yes, win big. Jacksonville plus the points. I think Buffalo wins, but Jacksonville covers. It's going to be a close one. When we look at the quarterbacks here, there's only 4 of them going. Allen, Jaden Daniels, the rookie, Joe Burrow, Trevor Lawrence. Of the 4, I am all over the moon, all over the place, over the moon for Joe Burrow. Cincinnati versus Washington. Washington's dead last, 32nd overall against opposing quarterbacks. Burrow 7-4 on FanDuel, 6-3 on DK. And again, Joe Burrow is Joe Burrow. I've seen graphics or podcasts that people are talking that Joe Burrow, he gets no crap, no shit, excuse me. Some these videos, yes, it's for kids, no, it's for kids. They can take the S word, right? When you Burrow, he's a good quarterback. I mean, I'm not going to put him down, but his record over the last few years in comparison to some of these upper echelon quarterbacks that we hold on pedestals is not that good when I'm talking about Joe Burrow. But I don't care about that. We're looking at tonight. I have Burrow 23 to 24 completions, 270 yards, 3 touchdowns, 3 to 4 carries, 15 yards. Again, make 2 touchdown passes, and he runs one in. Highly unlikely, so I'm just saying 3 touchdown passes, right? On the Sunday afternoon live DFS show at noon every Sunday leading up to the 1 p.m. lock, I was talking to Keith and I was telling him for as long as I can remember, I look at each game, I figure out the over-under stuff, which betting lean I'm going to go, and then I get a final score prediction in a roundabout way, and then I say, Joe Burrow, I have Cincinnati scoring like 35 points. If you divide that by 7, you're looking at 5 touchdowns, right? So where are those 5 touchdowns going to come from? I'm going to give Joe Burrow 3, and then maybe, Jamar Chase 1, which still counts for the 3. So where are the other 2 touchdowns going to come from? Would it be, let's say, Chase Brown, Zach Moss? I don't know, but we'll get that. We'll get there. But that's how my mind works. And when we look at Josh Allen going to be cake, right, or chalk, as they say, against Jacksonville. Jacksonville's 21st overall against opposing quarterbacks. Jacksonville's on the road in Buffalo. They've been okay. Trevor Lawrence has been okay, nothing crazy. But Josh Allen, 20 to 21 completions, 230 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns, and then I have him for around 40 yards on the ground and another touchdown. So you got Josh Allen with 3 touchdowns, Joe Burrow with 3 touchdowns. What are we doing with the rookie Jaden Daniels and T-Law? Of course, it's a single slate. You're kind of a feet to the fire in a way, but on a 2-game main slate, you can go whichever direction you want. I got Jaden Daniels, 210 yards passing, around 50 yards rushing, so you're looking at around 260 all-purpose yards and at least 1 passing touchdown. If you can get that second touchdown with his legs, let's say, we're going to be okay given his price tag, but Cincinnati's tough against quarterbacks, 7th right now. And when you look at T-Law, he's only got 1 passing touchdown all season, but I think he, not get over the hump, but I think he'll throw another one here tonight against Buffalo. But in a way, Buffalo's been fantastic against touchdowns. You look at their last 2 games, Kyler Murray and Tua. There's let me double check. There's a 2-to-3 ratio of touchdowns and interceptions. So what we think of is really good quarterbacks. Tua's on the concussion IR, and Kyler's still doing his thing. Those 2 quarterbacks combined have only thrown 2 touchdowns in comparison to 3 interceptions. Let's look at the running backs here. Wide receivers are in play, obviously. Tight ends, but to me tonight, the last few single game slate videos I've done, I've really loved to hammer home the wide receiver position. But tonight, for both of these games, running back is where the action is in my eyes. And shout out to Kelly in Phoenix for the, if you can see it, the pumpkin carving Michael Myers thing. Chris, it's still September, so what? We're like a week away from October, and Christmas is here. Holy smokes. Halloween is here, so get your Michael Myers masks and go scare some people. James Cook, Travis Etienne Jr., Zach Moss, Chase Brown, Brian Robinson Jr. That's the 5-headed running back. That's my running back pool, and you'll say that's probably the 5, most expensive running backs. But again, it's a main slate. This isn't bottom of the barrel. I can do and say as I please. So James Cook, when you look at him, 19 carries, 80 yards, 3 to 4 receptions for around 25 yards, averaging 5 yards a carry. That's fantastic. In Jacksonville, 19th overall against opposing running backs. Travis Etienne in Buffalo. Buffalo's almost dead last. They're 28th out of 32 against defending opposing running backs. Etienne, 14 to 15 carries, 60 yards, plus 3 to 4 receptions for another 25 to 30 yards. So that old line I use all the time. Just shy of 100 all-purpose yards, but 7-3 on FanDuel, $7,000 on DK. It's fantastic. But get this, he's got a touchdown streak going. He scored a touchdown in each game of the season. It's only been 2 games. You get the hint. And kind of a disappointing Travis, only 3.8 yards a carry. And to be fair, T-Law and Travis, this Jacksonville team is, I think, personally, too talented to just be slogging away, right? Just like in neutral, spinning their tires. They're going to break through one of these days, and they're going to hang 24 to 21 points in Buffalo. They'll lose, but we can take them plus 5.5, and they'll get there eventually. When you look at Zach Moss and Chase Brown, the 1-2 punch for the Bengals, that's where I'm at because of all 4 teams As I said at the beginning, I think Cincinnati scores 35 or more points here. So there's plenty. Joe Burrow's going to have 3 touchdowns. You're going to see a touchdown or 2 on the ground, and just split them up or give Zach Moss both of them. When you look at Zach Moss, 14 to 15 carries, 70 yards, a touchdown on the ground, 1 or 2 receptions, 15 yards, nothing crazy. Just like Travis, he's disappointing, averaging 3.7 yards a carry, but they are feeding him. They're giving him the football and saying, let's go nuts. And that's going to play very well tonight because of how bad Washington is against wide receivers. They're dead last. Jamar Chase is a smash. But I could see a case where, as I said, Zach Moss gets to 70 yards and a touchdown, and there's going to be scraps left for Chase Brown as well, who I have about 45 to 50 all-purpose yards, including 2 to 3 receptions. And get this, Chase Brown averaging 6 yards a carry, which is fantastic. He's not getting, 10 plus a game, or obviously be bumped down. If he's getting 10 carries a game, at 6 yards a pop, averaging 60 yards a game, not there yet. And lastly, Brian Robinson Jr., the Commanders running back. They're in Cincinnati. Cincinnati is 15th overall against running backs. So right there in the middle. It's 16 would be 16 plus 16, 32. As I told you in the beginning, I can tell time, and I'm somewhat good at math. DFS in fantasy football math, if that makes sense. When you look at B. Rob Jr., 15 to 16 carries, 65 yards, plus 3 to 4 receptions for another 20 to 25 yards. And get this, Brian Robinson averaging 6 yards a carry himself. And on the flip side, the Bengals are allowing 159.5 yards a game per running backs. Brian Robinson is a smash too. Brian Robinson and Zach Moss would be fantastic if in a flex spot if you wanted to run 3 running backs. It would be James Cook, Zach Moss, as I said, and Brian Robinson Jr. Let's get to the wide receivers. We're coming up on just about 12 minutes to the video. I expected this one to be about 15, 16 minutes, just breeze through it. When we look at the wide receivers, there is absolutely no way around Jamar Chase, right? In single game slates, MVP captain all day with Joe Burrow, and just flip-flop him, MVP captain, flex, Burrow, and Chase. In terms of the Monday main 2 games, you got to have him any way you slice it. As I said, Washington dead last, 32nd against opposing wide receivers. Jamar Chase, 9 to 10 targets, 7 to 8 receptions, minimum, a floor, I'm going to say. And if you want to pull this clip later, and if it fails, so be it. But I'm confident at least 90 yards receiving and a touchdown this evening. Jamar Chase, first 2 games of the season, kind of just not slow. I don't want to say slow motion because I respect what the guy's talent and the work ethic and all that. But Jamar Chase hasn't had that breakout game. Justin Jefferson's had 2 now, something like that. And Jamar Chase, it won't be far behind after tonight. Gabe Davis is in play. I love both 2 of the Jacksonville receivers, Gabe Davis and the rookie Brian Thomas Jr. I would prefer the rookie Brian Thomas, but you can't discount the revenge game factors. Folks love to say, Gabe Davis played for Buffalo, was drafted by Buffalo. He was able to walk and go over to Jacksonville. But get this, Buffalo's 3rd overall against wide receivers. And to be fair, do you think, let me know. I mean, if you're watching this right now, you can just nod or say yes if you agree with me that Gabe Davis has been a one-trick pony through the length of his career. And that one trick has been pretty damn good. Just run deep and catch a 60, 75-yard touchdown at least once a game, or, every few weeks. And that's fine. Gabe Davis, 55 to 60 yards on 4 to 5 receptions. The rookie, Brian Thomas Jr., averaging 23.5 yards a reception. And he's been the most targeted Jacksonville wide receiver. If I say if I'm mistaken, it could be Christian Kirk. There's only 2 of them, but in my notes, I wrote that question mark. Should have looked that up before I broadcasted, but hey, we all make mistakes, and I actually could be right. Not that big of a deal. Brian Thomas, 6-7 targets, 4 to 5 receptions, and 50 yards. When you look at Brian Thomas, he has 141 receiving yards so far this season through 2 games. All the other Jacksonville wide receivers combined only have 137 yards. So Jacksonville, they set their sights on this kid in the draft. They grabbed him, and they're making good on, if we're gonna draft you, we're gonna use you. When I look at who else I have, Khalil Shaker, Andre I, the Greek kid in Cincinnati, he makes for a wonderful play, in lockstep with kind of Jamar Chase, given how bad Washington is against wide receivers. I have Andre I, 3 to 4 targets, 3 to 4 receptions, around 35 yards. He has 5 total receptions. This is Andre I's 5 total receptions this year, and 2 of them have been for touchdowns. And again, if T. Higgins is out, Andre I is an absolute must-have. And when we look at Khalil Shaker, Jacksonville 24th overall, in the bottom half, nothing crazy there. Khalil 4 to 5 targets, 3 to 4 receptions, 45 to 50 yards. He's seen the first 2 games of the year. Khalil, I'm getting at, he's seen 19% of the team's targets, and he has 8 targets, 8 receptions. He's absolutely perfect. So that's a fun little nugget if you want to keep that going. Can Khalil keep up the 100% catch percentage or whatever it is? 8 targets, 8 receptions so far. And in a pinch, if you want some salary relief, especially on DK at $3,700, CMC's little brother Luke is playing for the Washington Commanders. 2 to 3 receptions, 20 to 25 yards. If one of those happened to be a touchdown, given his price tag, as I said, 3.7 on DK, 4.3 on FanDuel, it would make a dent in your return ROI, return on investment, they say. But again, Cincinnati's tough on wide receivers. They're only giving up around 128.5 yards a game against wide receivers. So we just crossed over the 16-minute mark. Let's breeze through tight ends. There's not many. We're talking Dalton Kincaid, who everybody on earth is going to know, hit the gas pedal on Kincaid. Mike Gesicki, right? Washington's first overall against opposing tight ends, but I should have looked deeper into that, because you say, if you look up the Washington Commanders DST, like the blurbs that they have, it says that Washington is really good against tight ends, but tight ends are having some sort of success against them. So Gesicki, Zach Ertz very much in play. And again, no secret, but probably my favorite tight end play tonight is Brenton Strange, playing in favor of injured Evan Ingram. Let's look at Kincaid quickly. Jacksonville, they're giving up Jacksonville, they're giving up 262 yards a game per, just in general, wide receivers, running backs combined. So Kincaid very much in play, 4 to 5 receptions, 45 yards. Gesicki, again, in a pinch. He's only 3.6 on DK, if that's what you're into, $5,000 on FanDuel. I have Gesicki, 3 to 4 receptions on 3 to 4 targets for around 30 to 35 yards. Zach Ertz, he's been the blurbs say safety valve, or I'll say safety blanket, or a what is it? What are they? A bubba, something like that, like a pacifier. Zach Ertz, 4 to 5 targets, 3 to 4 receptions, 30 yards. Ertz averaging 12.9 yards a reception. And all the way back in week 1, I mentioned it a few times in guest spots and on the Fantasy Six Pack, Sunday social live thing, that let's use Zach or lose it, or let's use him up while he's healthy, because he's in the twilight of his career. He's playing really well right now, but it's not likely to last. So let's use him up. And then Brenton Strange, Trevor Lawrence has always loved targeting his tight ends. And get this, Buffalo's giving up 51.5 yards a game against tight ends. Strange is fantastic. 3 to 4 receptions, 35 yards, 35 to 40 yards, and Strange is averaging 21.7 yards a reception. When we look at the DSTs, might be crazy, but I would prefer Cincinnati outright. And again, I have Cincinnati winning this one 35 to 20. And there's really no good defensive units to play tonight. I have Buffalo to win 28 to 24, and Cincinnati to win 35 to 20. So DSTs in terms of points for and points against, that can't be our first thought here. We got to look at sacks and interceptions. And I have Cincinnati 2 to 3 sacks and interception, a fumble recovery, and all the other teams. Washington as well. They're going to give up 35 points, so you're not looking at a high fantasy point total, but 3 to 4 sacks and an interception. Jacksonville, 1 or 2 sacks and interception. I'm out on them. And Buffalo, also as well. They are in play 2 to 3 sacks and an INT. So as I said, I'll repeat it one last time and we can get the heck out of here. Any questions or comments, you can tag me at Detroit Beastie on Twitter or go to the Fantasy Six Pack Discord. Same name. Tag Detroit Beastie. Let's see what he's got. My DMs are always open. I have the Jacksonville Jaguars to lose in Buffalo as Buffalo hangs 28 points to win this one. But, Buffalo only wins by 4 points. So take Jacksonville plus 5.5 points, and I like Cincinnati to win by 15 or more points in this one. So give me Cincinnati minus the 7.5 points. Be good, be safe, and I will see you again soon for Thursday Night Football, followed by Bottom of the Barrel. Buffalo wins, Cincinnati wins. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.